Deltarune Chapters 3 and 4 have given us some of the toughest bosses in the franchise. Over the last couple of months, I've been ranking items, weapons, and armors, check the description if you want to see those, to help you against these monsters. But today, I'll be ranking the bosses themselves. Now, there's plenty of ways I could rank them. Cool factor, story significance, how hard they are, so I've decided to rank them on a combination of all three of these. I will go into which is my favourite at the end of the video, so stick around for that, and let me know which you think is the hardest in the comments below. Starting off with number 13, we have Rules Cards and C Round. Now, of course, in terms of difficulty, this fight is nothing special. It can be done in essentially 3 turns, 2 turns, 1 turn, I don't know. And in terms of story, I mean, it's the first real fight with this idiot, but on a character level, it shows Susie's first signs of cooperation as she begins acting in her unique way with the first Susie's idea. Not much to say about the fight. Great character moment for Susie. I love C Round. Rules cards, not so much. But in terms of character, it's pretty good. Unfortunately, that's not enough to save it from the last place spot. Number 12, we have the King from Chapter 1. Right above the mini-boss, we have the final boss of the chapter. His name is just King. What? Now, as you will probably figure out as we go along the rankings, how hard a boss is very, very subjective. However, this is going to be the easiest final boss in the game, right? Like, maybe it's just because it's been out for a while, but like, I've played Jevil so many times, and I'm still getting shredded by some of his attacks. But this guy, it takes like 6-7 turns before I actually take damage. And then I can just heal it up with my influx of TP, and keep going. Where it lacks in difficulty, it makes up in aura. Starting with the boss itself, did you know that he's wearing the Shadow Mantle? Yeah, this guy, wearing this guy. Can you believe it? The armor said to be strong enough to defend against the knights, and it's on this bum? How did this happen? The unique axe that we first see in this fight, and in some cases only see. On top of that, since it's the final boss, this fight has a unique ending depending on whether you're doing a pacifist or no mercy run. I wonder if this is foreshadowing for how the actual ending will be. King's character overall in this chapter was pretty eh. Chapter 1 itself was kind of a mirror to Undertale, so the King stuff was more or less handled the same way, just being told things and having to infer things about him until we finally meet him. Except this King was pretty much exactly how we were told he would be. My favorite moments for him were after this fight, except for the quiet people piss me off moments, but that's more of a Susie thing, so unfortunately I can't put him any higher than number 12. In number 11, we have the Queen and Berdly fight. Not the individual one. The penultimate final boss at the end of Chapter 2. No other enemy really reached this skill level for a mini-boss in terms of Chapter 2, which does kind of fit into Deltarune's overall theme of not fitting into a mode. So the closest thing to a second boss is the first Queen fight. A pretty interesting fight. Your choices during the fight have a negligible, as of yet, impact on the story through this annoying ass bird. Through mercy, Berdly leaves the Dark World perfectly fine, but through no mercy, Berdly's arm will be broken. While in Snowgrave, yeah, the shit skipped entirely. We love Queen. I love Queen. She's funny through the entire run, and especially funny in this boss fight. The first thing that comes to mind whenever I think of this one is text one, and then her saying something, and then everyone just getting aggro. We have one of Berdly's best moments outside of the Snowgrave routes in this fight, and the Wine Shield does give some choice in how you conduct this battle. No matter what route you're in, you can choose to toast the shield away or attack it. Attacking the barrier is usually the better option, especially with Rude Buster, but if you're paranoid about attacking ruining a pacifist ending, then you'll still have the option to toast. But regardless, a pretty simple fight, pretty fun fights. Number 11 for the Queen jumping. Number 10 is the other Queen fight, the Giga Queen, starting the trend of creating a different type of gameplay mid-chapter, which will be used in one of the boss fights. This Punch-Out inspired boss is the culmination of all your recruits in a final push against possibly the canonically strongest enemy in the game. Again, Deltarune showing you that your choices do sorta matter. As in no mercy routes, with no recruits on your side, the mech you fight Queen with becomes much, much weaker. However, the fight itself isn't so difficult, as you are given new acts based on your weapon, machine, animal of choice from Chapter 1, along with a heal. Now, about this possibly being the strongest canonical character, once Queen brings out this mech, she one-shots the crew and is able to contain them after kicking their ass. It's pretty heavily implied that without this mech, there's nothing that the Fun Gang could do, but does this really make it the strongest? Well, against all the other bosses, the Fun Gang has at least been able to put up a fight. The Titans can be heavily damaged by the combined efforts of Susie and Gerson, and the Knights, or despite one-shotting us, isn't able to put us down for good. Susie, you should be at negative 999 health. How are you moving? And additionally for the Knights, there is a theory going around that Chris is actually the one who one-shot us after defeating the Knights. But who knows? Honestly, the Giga Queen strongest theory may not be very solid. Who knows, maybe the Fun Gang would have done better than they think if they actually squared up without making their own nick, especially with Neo there. But it's not about what you think. It's not about reading comprehension. It's not about the story. It's about agenda!
When will you guys understand that?
Anyways, I remember this fight being skippable, but when I tried it on the Switch, it didn't work, so who knows? It won't be affecting the ranking, however, and Queen, I mean, she's funny, but in this fight, she just isn't as funny, which is made up for by the power of friendship mechanics and story significances. Like, everyone you recruited comes in and joins you. That's so cool. But unfortunately, that is not enough to bring it higher than number 10. Number 9, the weather always sticks together. Okay, well, this is almost certainly recency bias. Someone a year or two after this upload, comment if this holds up, but for me, this fight is way harder than the fights below it. Whether it be the bullet patterns, maximizing heals, or trying to get as high of a rank as possible, something about this fight just makes it harder than the other ones. I don't know. It's probably just recency bias, but moving on, the routes you're on doesn't really matter as you can't do enough damage to kill these guys. I'm pretty sure it crashes if you actually do, but as long as you say I love TV or get one of their healths down 70% by the third turn, the battle will progress. But regardless, it's still quite hard to finish this fight without getting hit. Like, is this shit even possible to no hit? I may be delusional, but to me, this fight is harder than the others, and it gets put in the number 9 slot. Number 8, we have the Titan. Like the Knights, I did not expect to see this boss so early on, and I gotta say, it doesn't disappoint in most ways. In Chapter 4, the Knight stabbing the earth, to the desperate climb to the top, to the he's already here part, were some of the hypest parts of the game. But in terms of difficulty, we're just gonna pretend the black shard doesn't exist for a second. The tension items make this fight go by in a flash. The attacks themselves aren't hard to dodge. The darkness can be made up by items or just stalling. This fight is particularly easy to stall. N1 Gerson comes. Yeah, it's pretty obvious that despite being an endgame enemy, the Titan wasn't supposed to be a hard boss in this chapter. If the ranking was purely based off difficulty, this guy might be below King. But for adding some incredible stakes to the story overall, giving us some of the most hype moments in the game, and just being a really fun boss, the Titan fight gets the number 8 spot. Editing Viper here. Just found out the Titan has a laser attack? Why have I never seen this? What the fuck? That's so cool! For number 7, it's TV time! In terms of difficulty, probably more recency bias, but the attacks like the exploding stars, the rotating star, honestly these star attacks are pretty annoying. And a lot of the minigames are quite hard. Not to mention the part at the end where it starts skipping through all of the minigames with only a second or two to react. That shit was difficult. That shit, if I didn't have enough HP to survive that, bro, I'd be dead. Speaking of minigames, this shit fun as hell. Yeah, the games like the Friday Night Funkin' R1 and the Cooking one were better in their solo appearances. Side note, why can I not play any of these games in Castletown? There's only so much FNF I can play before I get bored. But stuff like the Cowboy game was really fun, including the one where they flipped roles. Diagonals were quite a problem on keyboard for this. Unfortunately, mercy or violence doesn't change up the fight as it'll converge into a minigame spam either way, but regardless, I love Tenor, I love the fight, I love the minigames, number 7 for you. Hey guys, quickly, I just want to let you know I'm starting a Discord where you can shoot your ideas for me, talk to other people about any of the games I cover, anything you want. I'm looking for feedback, we just started. Please check it out if you're interested. Now let's get back. Number 6. Jackenstein. Y'all are gonna think I'm crazy, but Jackenstein, way harder than the Titan. Like, I can get hit once or twice by the Titan and not know the laser attack exists until watching a YouTube video about it. Seriously though, how have I never seen this? Whereas Jackenstein, I've replayed the game about 50 times, and I've actually died a few times to this guy. That doesn't happen a lot. Not to toot my own horn, but that doesn't happen a lot. You have to be one of the secret bosses or on some bullshit to do that. And Jackenstein was on some bullshit. It might just be me, like I could be a little impatient, rushing through the board when this motherfucker isn't even out yet. Speaking of which, how could you not like this guy? Just off vibes alone, he goes above a lot of the final bosses. That's my guy. That's your guy. That's this guy's guy for sure. One point you can bring against this fight is it also gets shafted by the TP items, but at the same time, you only have a limited amount of these, so do you really want to be using them on a non-secret, non-final boss? Most players will not be using their TP items on this guy, which paradoxically means he's one of the harder bosses because you're not using your TP items on him. So you should use your TP items on him, but then you won't have TP items for the future chapters. But me personally, I use them on Jackenstein as I recognize his power as the number 6 of this list. Number 5, we have Era. Did anyone else think that this guy was Mike when they first fought him? Strangely enough, this guy does get easier the more you fight him, as he drops more candies the more you die, keeping him from the highest spots in the list. But let me tell you, you will be dying a lot to this guy. This attack is pretty easy to get the hang of, but it will put you in positions where you have to wait a while before you can do some real damage to him. I'm convinced this attack is just luck, and this attack is either really fun or the most infuriating thing in the world. In terms of aura and story relevance, well, it's hard to say. No one really knows what this thing is, but it's assumed that it's the Shadow Mantle itself. I mean, it is sentient, but am I to assume it fucked off, then snuck itself in the chest? Is it ERAM? What even is an ERAM? Some force with ties to the Snowgrave route, watching us through those friends, as people call him? Or is he the real Mike? No one knows for sure, and honestly, that makes them all the cooler in my eyes. I do hope we can get to understand him by the end of the game, but for now, the air of mystery he has makes him all the more cooler for me, and despite being a secret boss, he is a crucial fight for most people when taking on the Knights. For number 4, we have the Fiend Jester himself. Despite being from Chapter 1, Jevil stands the test of time of being one of the harder fights in Deltarune, partly as in the first chapter, the items available were quite lacking, but for me, his attack patterns were always fun. The pirouetting act is still a unique way to interact that I don't think any sparing mechanic has beaten as of yet. And yes, I know there's a set effect based off the turn of the fight, but why would I search that up and ruin the fun when I can just bet it all on black, baby? In terms of story, he is surprisingly deep, having some ties to Sham, King, Spamton, and Gasta. There's no strategy to defeat this enemy. Number 4 for Jevil. Number 3, Spamton motherfucking Neo. The tumbler sexy man to rival Sans. When Chapter 2 came out, he had the whole fandom in a chokehold. Originally, I didn't like him, but the fandom would not leave him alone. Memes, animations, theme remixes, voice acting, fan games, I could not help but grow to love him. And what's not to love? Canonical Minecraft player, Spamton Neo copying, secret and final boss having ass, this guy does it all. Coming back to the fight, the Snowgrave version of this fight had me reeling for days. And for the record, yes, I did do the Snowgrave fight before the actual fight. I had no idea you could actually go back and fight him in Pacifist. But even in normal routes, this fight is a blast. Bringing back the Yellow Soul, which I now call Big Shot mode, because of this fight. It's time for a big shot! It sets itself apart by the many unique ways it uses this mechanic. Not to mention the items. Oh my god, do you know how good the deal maker is? Check this video to find out, but holy shit. Anyway, you don't need me to tell you how cool this fight is. He has an entire city in the background. No, that doesn't mean he's city block level. What the fuck? Number 3 for the Spamton man. Number 2, we have Gerson. Now, anyone who's played the 2 new chapters would know this fight's going to be pretty high up. But number 2, it's got to be carried by character, right? Well, character is a big highlight of this fight, being where Susie learns to trust in herself, having one of her big arcs, allowing her to become a competent healer. The place where we obtain the Justice Axe, and the place where the old man secretly being stronger than he lets on gimmick is finally paid off. But on top of that, the second monster in Undertale and Deltarune history to dodge. Don't fact check that, I'm just assuming. Forcing Susie and the player to come up with different ways of progressing the fight, through Rude Buster, healing, fighting, and even defending. Yes, defending. The whole point of the fight may be to take it head on. However, if you refuse to back down and keep defending, you get unique special attacks in a new form of the battle which I like to call hard mode. It's only like 3 attacks at the end, but to do it you have to forgo healing or absorb axe healing, which adds an extra layer of difficulty to the fight, which I greatly appreciate. Basically it's just a what if you could only defend. Which honestly, you could slap that on the entire game and call that hard mode. In some cases, I think this fight could be harder than the Knights. Seeing the diagonal arrow really had me fearing for my life, I can't lie. And even beyond that, it finally pays off the stuff we heard from Undertale about the man. Undyne telling us he's the strongest monster she's ever seen, and him taunting Genocide Frisk. This fight really lives up to the hype, and gets the 2nd place spot on this list. And finally, number 1, the Knights. Well, I doubt there was any, doubt about this one's placement. A fight with so much aura, most of us were convinced we were just not able to beat her. Bringing us back to the Sans days, especially with some of her attacks. Probably the toughest fight in the game, with some unforgiving attacks and incredible damage. Took me like 2 days, and even now I struggle to beat her without the Shadow Mantle. Her attacks, once you learn them, can be pretty fun, most of them. And you can skip a lot of the tough attacks by speeding through the fight, but ignoring that and focusing on the story? This is like endgame material! Until fighting the Knight, we were just doing some villain of the week story, find the fountain and close it. But nah, Not anymore. Not to mention the mystery behind her. You may have noticed that I've been referring to her as, well, her, this entire video. This is because the two people who are most likely to be revealed as the knights are Des and Carol. I personally believe it's Carol, but we don't have enough information as of yet. But regardless, no matter what points you look at in this fight, it's just one of the best in the franchise. So of course I had to give her the #1 spot. And well guys, that does it for this list. If you enjoyed, like and subscribe. If you disagree, let me know in the comments. I'm probably going to slow my upload schedule down to once every fortnight, since I've milked this Deltarune cow about as dry as I can. And university's coming up again for me, so I'm going to have to focus on that more. So join the Discord to keep up with what I'll be doing, and I'll see you in the next one.